I don't know where I am, and I don't know how I got here. One second, I was stepping out of the elevator in my office building, and the next, I was lying face down on a disgusting yellow carpet. Everything was wrong. The air smelled stale like old dust and moldy paper. The lights above me were flickering, long fluorescent tubes humming with that high-pitched electric buzz. Too loud, constant, like it was drilling into my skull. I stood up and looked around. Endless yellow walls stretched in every direction. No windows, no doors, just corners. Sharp angles. Every hallway looked the same. I thought maybe it was some kind of maintenance area or that I had passed out and was dreaming. But it didn't feel like a dream. My hands were sticky from whatever was in that carpet, and the air, it felt heavy. I started walking. Every corridor I turned down looked just like the last. Same wallpaper, same ceiling tiles, same lights. I passed what looked like a stain on the wall and thought, haven't I seen that already? So I tried to be smart. I tore a piece of paper from my pocket and dropped it at the corner. I walked straight, turned left again, and found the same piece of paper waiting for me. That's when I realized this place doesn't work like it should. It loops, but not consistently. Sometimes I'd walk for 5 minutes and end up where I started. Other times I'd keep walking and find a hallway I'd never seen before. No logic, no order. I called out just to hear my own voice, but the echo, it didn't come back right, like the walls swallowed it. And then I heard something else. At first I thought it was my own footsteps, but they were too delayed, too heavy, like someone was following me, just far enough back to stay out of sight. I turned around, nothing, but I knew I wasn't alone anymore. That feeling you get when someone's behind you, staring at the back of your neck, that's what this entire place feels like, constantly. I kept moving. I didn't know what else to do. Then I saw something in the distance, a person. Maybe. They were turned away, standing still, just barely visible around a corner. I shouted to them. I waved. They didn't move. So I stepped closer. Still, no movement, no reaction. Then their head turned, but only the head. The body didn't move at all. Outside, and there was no face. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just turned and ran. I don't know how long I ran. Time doesn't feel real here. My phone screen is frozen. The clock hasn't changed since I woke up. Eventually, I saw something different. A section of the wall had peeled back, exposing bare concrete behind it. There was a gap, like an opening that wasn't part of the building. I didn't think. I just slipped through. And now I'm somewhere else. It's darker, colder. And I'm starting to think, this place goes deeper. At first, I thought I'd made it out. The yellow walls were, now it was concrete. The floor beneath me was rough and cracked, like an old warehouse. The buzzing lights above were still there, but dimmer, colder. Some were shattered completely. Wires dangled from the ceiling, twitching like nerves. And it was loud, not just the lights, everything. Distant bangs, whispers carried on stale air, the heavy groan of something mechanical far off in the dark, like an engine that never shuts off. I still don't know what this place is. I gave up on logic back in the yellow halls, but here, this felt worse. It was colder. I could see my breath when I exhaled, and the further I went, the more I noticed. Trash. Scattered clothes, broken furniture, rusted shelves, like someone had lived here, or tried to. I found a rusted vending machine against the wall, completely dead, but full of strange off-brand snacks I'd never heard of. One of them just said food in bold black font. Another had no label at all. I didn't touch them. That was when I realized something terrifying. This level, it was meant to keep people here. There were supplies, places to sit, crates full of dusty blankets, the remains of old camps, and all of it felt wrong, like the building wanted me to settle in, to give up. But worse than that, there were signs of other people, not just what they left behind. I mean notes, scrawled on the walls in pen, charcoal, sometimes blood. One said, "Don't talk to them." Another, "The smiling ones lie." I kept moving. What else was I supposed to do? I took a hallway I hadn't seen before, a narrow one, lined with exposed pipes. Steam hissed from a valve up ahead, and the lights flickered harder than ever. And then I heard them. Voices. At first, they sounded like conversation, muted, casual. But as I approached, I realized they weren't speaking any language I understood. Not gibberish, just wrong. Their words moved like insects, clicking, wet, guttural. I turned the corner, and they were there. Two of them, tall, humanoid shapes dressed like maintenance workers, except their faces were smooth, plastic maybe, no eyes, no mouth, but they turned their heads toward me all the same. One of them smiled. I ran. I didn't look back. I found a stairwell again, buried behind a storage room full of rotting mattresses. The door was already open, as if it had been waiting. I didn't hesitate. I went down, deeper. And whatever's waiting in level 2, I already regret it. The stairwell was longer this time, narrower. The air was thick, hot like a boiler room. I had to duck under exposed wires and rusted metal bars just to keep going. By the time I reached the bottom, I was sweating. And the smell, burnt oil, old metal, something coppery underneath. This place, whatever it is, doesn't want me to understand it. It's like it shifts with every level, learning from me, adapting. Wherever I am now, it's not trying to mimic an office anymore. This one feels industrial. The walls are solid metal, groaning constantly as if the building itself is alive and trying to breathe. Thick black pipes run along the ceiling and walls, some of them leaking strange fluids that drip and hiss when they hit the floor. The floor is solid concrete, cracked in some places, slick in others. It's dark here. Most of the lights are broken, hanging by threads of wire. The few that still work flicker violently, strobing just enough for me to see where I'm going and what's watching me. I don't know what level 2 is. Not really. But the moment I stepped into it, I felt watched. Constantly. Not like before. Not a vague feeling. This is direct, intentional. Like something is here, and it knows I arrived. I didn't hear footsteps this time. I heard breathing. Something big. Something slow. A ragged inhale from far off, then silence. I moved carefully, kept close to the wall. There were rooms down here, but not the kind you'd want to step into. Machinery filled them. Massive gears grinding against each other, vents pumping out clouds of steam, conveyor belts that moved but didn't carry anything. And then there were the wires. Dozens of them, snaking across the floor like veins. At first I thought they were just cables, but they moved, subtly, like they were alive, like they felt me passing over them. I stepped over a cluster carefully. They shuddered, and then I heard something behind me. Not breathing, not footsteps, something else, a scratching sound. Fast, sharp, metallic. I ducked into a side hallway and pressed myself into the corner, trying to stay quiet. The shadows moved strangely here, like they bent around corners slower than the light did. That's when it stepped into view. Not a person, not a creature, a thing. Tall, thin. Its body looked like muscle and cable fused together, no skin. Just raw flesh covered in metal plates bolted into place. Its arms were too long, dragging claws along the wall as it walked. No eyes, no mouth, just a head full of exposed wire and a chest that clicked with every breath. It passed me. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. And somehow it didn't see me. But I knew better than to stay. I moved again, carefully, silently, until I found what looked like a control room. The panels were covered in buttons with no labels. The screens buzzed with static. But there, in the far corner, another door. This one was heavy, metal, bolted shut at first, but the bolts were already loose, like someone or something had gone through recently. I hesitated. For the first time since I got here, I truly hesitated. Because behind that door, it felt wrong. Worse than the yellow rooms, worse than the watchers, worse than the creature behind me. But staying wasn't an option. So I opened it and stepped into level 3. The first thing that hit me was the heat, not just warmth, stifling, suffocating heat. The door slammed behind me the moment I stepped through, sealing shut with a screech of metal. I was trapped again. But this time, it felt different, more real, more deadly. Level 3 isn't like the others. It doesn't try to trick you with familiar architecture or play mind games with looping rooms. This place doesn't care what you understand. It just wants to kill you. The walls are made of solid steel, narrow corridors with sharp angles and no windows, no furniture, no space to breathe. The ceilings are low, pipes crisscross in every direction, hissing with pressure. Some of them are so hot they glow red. The floors shake every few minutes, like something massive is moving somewhere deeper inside. I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. The machinery never stops. Fans spin violently overhead, gears churn, massive pistons slam in and out of the walls with deafening force, and all around me the same unbearable heat, like I'm walking through the lungs of a furnace. Sweat poured off me, my clothes clung to my skin. Every step felt heavier, slower. I lost count of how many tight hallways I squeezed through. Some were so narrow, I had to turn sideways just to pass, and every time I turned a corner, I expected to find something waiting there. And eventually, I did. It was faint at first, just a blur at the edge of a hallway, something low to the ground, fast. I froze, listened. There were no footsteps, just the sound of claws scraping against steel. I ducked behind a broken fuse box and waited. The sound got closer, and then it emerged. It wasn't tall like the last one. This thing moved like an insect, fast, twitchy, almost mechanical. Its limbs bent the wrong way. It had no face, just a metal jaw that hung open, drooling black fluid onto the floor. Its head snapped around violently like it was tracking heat. I held my breath, and then it screamed. It was high-pitched and metallic, like tearing sheet metal and screaming agony blended into one. It charged down the corridor in the other direction, chasing something else, or maybe just reacting to a sound. I didn't wait to find out. I ran. I didn't stop for what felt like hours. My legs ached. My throat was dry. My body was overheating. I stumbled through corridor after corridor, all of it the same. Every room had more wires, more pipes, more heat. I passed rooms filled with massive turbines, electrical panels sparking wildly, even open pits where steam screamed up from unseen depths. And then, a hallway that went downward, a ramp actually, covered in rust. At the end of it, darkness. Not just shadow, true darkness. I didn't want to go, but there was no other way. And I'd already learned, the longer you stay in one place, the more likely it is they find you. So I descended. I walked straight into the dark, the machinery fading behind me. The only sound was my breath, shaky, thin, then even that disappeared. And in that silence, I realized something. The noise, the heat, the machines, they were distractions. Because here in the dark, I felt something older. Not a creature, not a machine, a presence. Like this level isn't just part of the Backrooms, it's alive. It's watching. And for the first time since I arrived, I knew if I didn't get out of here soon, I wouldn't just die. I'd be absorbed, erased. So when I saw the hatch, half open, broken hinges, leaking water from the seams, I didn't care where it led. I crawled through, I didn't look back, and now I'm somewhere cold, somewhere wet, level 4. Water leaked down my back as I pulled myself through the hatch. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No machinery, no pipes, no screaming metal, just nothing. After the roar of level 3, the stillness was almost unbearable, like the sound had been sucked out of the air. I stood slowly, soaking wet, clothes clinging to me. My shoes squelched on cold tile. The room around me was an office, not the yellow wallpaper kind. This was different. Gray carpet, white walls, cheap cubicles with powered-off monitors, desks with mugs still half full, a printer that had jammed halfway through some HR document. It looked like someone had hit pause on an ordinary day in an ordinary building. Except there was no one here, and no doors. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above me, a dull hum that seemed almost like it didn't want to be heard. I walked down a long hallway lined with locked offices. Through the windows, I could see rooms that looked lived in. Coats on chairs, bags under desks, sticky notes still fluttering from air vents. But no people, not even dust. And the air, it was too clean. Like someone or something was filtering it constantly. I kept moving. There were vending machines here too, but these ones were pristine. Their lights worked. Their labels were crisp. One of them even had a soda brand I recognized. But I didn't touch it. I didn't trust any of it. Because the longer I stayed, the more I noticed things that didn't make sense. The computers were all off, but the monitors were warm. Every clock I passed said 12:17. I passed the same painting, an ocean landscape, at least 6 times in different halls. Then there were the footsteps, not mine, soft, slow, just a few paces behind me. I turned. Empty corridor. I turned again. And the painting was different. Same frame, same placement. But the ocean was gone. Now it was a mirror, and I was standing in it. But I wasn't moving. My reflection just stood there, staring, smiling. its head tilted slightly to one side. I blinked, and the reflection didn't. I ran. Every hallway looked the same. Every turn brought me back to more cubicles, more quiet, more impossible loops. At one point, I opened a door I was sure hadn't been there before. Inside was a break room. Clean, bright, microwave, fridge, a table with chairs, and on the table, a sandwich. Fresh, still steaming. I shut the door and backed away. This level was trying to comfort me, to convince me to stay. The idea burrowed deep into my head, and for a moment, just a moment, I wanted to sit down. I wanted to rest. But then I heard something, typing. A keyboard clacking rapidly from an empty cubicle down the hall. I didn't look. I just ran. Down stairwells, past copy machines, through long corridors of identical desks. The lights began to flicker harder the faster I moved. The air lost its chill. Everything shuddered, like reality was pulsing around me, trying to push me back in. Then I saw it. Another door. This one was metal, unmarked. It buzzed faintly like something was locked inside. I didn't stop to question. I opened it, and behind it, darkness again. But not cold this time. Warm, dry. I stepped through, and just before the door slammed shut behind me, I heard something whispered into my ear. Something impossibly close, almost home. But it didn't sound like comfort. It sounded like a trap. I should have known something was wrong the second I opened the door. It wasn't dark anymore. It was velvet. A long hallway stretched out before me, lined with ornate wallpaper and red carpet. Chandeliers hung overhead, flickering with candlelight. It was silent, that unnatural silence again, but this time wrapped in gold and luxury. It smelled like perfume and furniture polish. Old money, like walking into a hotel that had been locked up for a century, but somehow everything was still pristine. I was in some kind of lobby, marble floors, golden elevators, ornate wooden trim along the walls. Classical music played faintly from nowhere, a broken record loop of violins that never resolved. For a moment, I forgot how deep I'd come. I forgot the heat of level 3, the whispers of level 4, because this place felt safe, too safe. I called out. My voice echoed once, then vanished like the air swallowed it whole. There was no reception desk, no staff, just long hallways and endless suites. I walked. The halls twisted strangely, rounded corners where they shouldn't be. Doors that vanished when I turned back to check them. Room numbers that changed. 504, 5044. Every door said the same thing. Eventually, curiosity won. I opened one. Inside was a hotel room. Perfectly made bed, polished mirrors, fresh towels. The faucet dripped in the bathroom. Drip, drip, drip. The mirror was fogged, though the air was cold. I wiped it with my sleeve, and there was a face. Not mine. Something behind me. I turned, nothing. But the air had changed, heavier. I left the room, or at least I tried. The hallway outside was different now. The carpet was damp. The lights dimmed slightly with every step. The chandeliers overhead creaked and watched. And I started to hear them. Not machines, not creatures. People, dozens of them. Whispers behind the walls, laughter bleeding through the vents, footsteps above the ceiling, but there was no ceiling. Just a painted illusion. I passed a sitting room, crushed velvet chairs, a fireplace with no fire. In one of the chairs sat a man in a suit, motionless. His head turned slightly as I passed, but his eyes never blinked. His mouth was sewn shut, but I heard him laugh. That was when I knew. This floor wasn't empty. It was occupied. Every room I passed, someone was inside, or something that used to be someone. I saw shadows behind frosted glass, silhouettes pressed to the curtains. And every time I blinked, I was somewhere else. A hallway, a ballroom, a dining room filled with chairs turned toward the wall. The halls looped, the elevators didn't work, the stairwells were gone. I wasn't moving deeper anymore. I was just moving in circles, trapped. Time began to fall apart. I'd look at the ornate grandfather clock, 3:14 a.m. I'd look again, 8:92. No seconds, no rhythm, just drifting. And then came the knocking. At first from the far end of the hall, then closer, then right back, knock, knock. No doors, no exits, just room 504, over and over and over again. Eventually, I opened one again. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired, maybe I just wanted to see who was knocking. Or maybe somewhere deep down I already knew. Inside was a mirror, not like before. A full-length one, framed in gold, warped like water. And it moved, not a reflection. It was watching me back. My face in the mirror smiled. I didn't. Then it whispered, "You never left." I turned, and behind me stood the bellhop. I hadn't heard him approach. He wore a red jacket, dustless, spotless. His skin was stretched too tight, mouth too wide, no eyes. But he saw me. He held out a key. Room 504. My hands took it without asking. The last thing I remember is walking into that room one more time. The door closed behind me. And now I'm still here, I think. Or something wearing me as if someone else just entered the lobby. I saw them through the mirror. They looked scared. I tried to warn them, but my mouth didn't move. Only the smile did.